try to focus on theory part on regular expressions, validations on theory screens, and tomorrow we'll start the practical part. So that is, the topic will be like SAP Fiori front-end validations, or I can say field level validations using regular expressions. SAP Fiori front-end validations, or you can call it as screen field validations using JavaScript regular expressions. So today we'll focus on theory part. In the next session, we'll try to do it practically. And this topic is common for both UI5 apps as well as Fiori apps. This topic is common for both SAP UI5 apps and SAP Fiori applications. So whatever we discuss in this session and tomorrow's session, that is same. The code remains same for both UI5 apps and Fiori apps. For example, here you can see there is a form. In this particular form, there are some various input fields here, like first name, last name, email ID, country, salary, mobile number, password field, and you can see there is a date field. So I want to apply some validations on these various fields. So let me just write the theory part here before we do it. Make it like requirement. For example, let me make validation 1. Let me use it on first name field. For example, on first name field, I just want to restrict the length. That means the length must be greater than, for example, 5 characters and less than 12 characters here. There is first name field. The length of this first name field, whenever user enters a value, that length of that value must be greater than 5 characters and less than 12 characters. I want to just apply that simple validation. Okay, let me write it here. First name length must be greater than 5 characters and less than 12 characters. I want to just apply this simple validation on first name field. Validation 2, you can see there is last name field also available here. So on last name field, I want to allow last name with uppercase A to Z characters. I want to allow lowercase characters between A to Z, but last name should not allow special characters. Last name should not allow digits. Here I want to allow uppercase characters. I can allow lowercase characters here, but it should not allow special characters here. And it should not allow digits. If special characters are provided by user, it should throw error message. If special characters are provided or if digits are provided, then it should display error message instantly. Okay, so let me write it here. Last name can allow uppercase characters between A to Z. Last name can allow lowercase characters between A to Z. And last name should not allow special characters here. If it is provided, then it should display error message. For special characters, it's not allowed. And last name should not allow digits. If digits are provided from 0 to 9, any digit between 0 to 9, then it should not be allowed. So I want to apply this validation on last name field here. Characters uppercase A to Z is allowed, characters lowercase A to Z is allowed, but special characters are not allowed, digits are not allowed. So for this type of things, you can use regular expression concept. Okay, that we are going to do it. Now there is one more field, that is email ID here. Okay, validation 3, let me make it on email ID. So in case of email ID, I want to check for @ and dot. For example, if I provide just vijay.com, then it should display error because @ is missing. If I provide vijay@com, then it should throw error because dot is missing. So the valid is now this particular email ID contains @ and it contains dot. Then it is technically a valid format for email ID. Email ID format should allow @ and dot. @ should come first, dot should come next. So that type of simple validation I want to apply on this email ID. The format should be proper. So we need to check whether email ID contains @ character or not. And we need to check whether email ID contains dot character or not. So these are the two main things to make email ID format valid or invalid. If this one of this is not available, then it should throw error message. And if both are not available, it should throw error message. So to make it valid, @ must be available, dot must be available to make email ID format meaningful. Now there is country field here. So in country field, I just want to allow, for example, just as an example, I want to allow India, I want to allow US. Other than India, US, for example, if I provide UK, I want to make it, for example, invalid. If it is China, I want to make it invalid. Instantly, it should throw error messages. For example, validation 4, this is on country field. In different field validations, you'll understand different concepts. So here, country field must allow either of two values. India is allowed, US is allowed. Other values are not allowed. I want to apply like that. If the user entered value is other than India or US, then it should throw error message in our case. Now there is salary field here. In salary field, you need to check whether salary field is number or not. If you provide uppercase A to Z, it is invalid. If it is lowercase a to Z, it is invalid. If you provide special characters, it is invalid. So whatever you provide in salary field, it should be a number. You need to check whether that value is number or not. Okay, so let me make it here. For example, validation 5, salary field. You need to check whether salary value is number or not. You just need to check whether salary field value is number or not. Otherwise, it should throw error. If it is not a number, it should throw error. Now there is mobile number here. That's another field. So this mobile number, it should allow only digits, and the total digits must be 10. Mobile number field value must be only digits, and the total digits must be always 10 in this case. If you provide uppercase A to Z or lowercase a to Z, if you provide special characters, it should not be allowed. If I provide numbers more than 10, it should not be allowed. Less than 10 digits, it should not be allowed. So it should allow only digits, and the total digits must be 10. That should be the validation here. Okay, so this is on mobile number field. Mobile number must allow only digits, and mobile number value must be it's 10 digits only. To allow only digits, and the total number of digits must be 10. So that's a simple validation on mobile number. So for this type of validation, we can apply regular expression. It should allow only 10 digits, and total number of digits is 10. For this type of things, we can use JavaScript regular expressions. Very simple. Let me go with another validation here. There is one more field, that is password field. So password field. Okay, so let me make it here. So in case of password field should have at least one digit, one uppercase, at least one lowercase, and one special character. And the total characters, for example, I want to make it between 6 and 12. So whatever I type here, basically the password value must have at least one digit, at least one lowercase, at least one uppercase, and at least one special character. The total digits must be 6 and 12. And password, whatever you type, it should be visible dynamically below this field. That also I want to apply. So in our case, password field value must contain at least one digit. If there is no digit, then it is invalid technically. So it should have at least one digit. And password field value must contain at least one uppercase character. Between A to Z. And password field value must contain at least one lowercase character between A to Z. And not only that, password field value must contain at least one special character. At least one special character among these things. And password field length must be between 6 characters and 12 characters. The total length of password field value must be between 6 and 12 characters. And not only that, whatever value you provide, that is hidden here. By default, the characters are hidden. But I want to make it visible dynamically by using a text string element. I want to make it visible below this password field. Dynamically, it should be visible. So password field value must be visible dynamically on text string element. I'll create one text string element below password field. In that text string element, it should be visible dynamically. If you want, you can make it more dynamic by making show or hide. Show password, hide password, so that also you can add. But ultimately, this is the base for that. So when we apply password field validation, here we can also use a regular expression in this case. On password field, to make it easy, regular expressions is a suitable one for this type of things. Password field should have at least one digit. It should have at least one uppercase. It should have at least one lowercase. And it should have at least one special character. And it should have total length between 6 and 12. So for this type of things, regular expression will be the easiest one. Okay, there is one more field. For example, here you can see there is a date field. There is a date field. And I want to create one more date field. I want to make start date and end date field. So if start date is, if the end date, for example, if the end date is less than start date, then I want to throw error. If end date is greater than start date, then I should display success message. So we'll try to create one more date field. Already one of the date field is available. We'll create another date field, for example, end date field. And the simple validation here is the end date must be greater than start date. End date must be greater than start date. If it is not greater than start date, then it should display error. Very simple. So here we are trying to apply 8 types of different validations here that will help you in understanding various concepts from JavaScripting, regular expressions, various logical operators, comparison operators. You'll understand all those things in this process. So to do this, first you need to understand some various basic things like JavaScript logical operators here. So if you use double ampersand, that is like technically and. According to logical operator, that is and. If you use two straight lines, that is technically or. If you use exclamation mark, that is technically not. So these things will be useful when you apply validations. And you should know JavaScript comparison operators. JavaScript comparison operators like greater than, use greater than equal, just like greater than or equal. This is less than, and you can use less than equal. That means less than or equal. And you can use double equal. It will just check for equal value. Double equal, that is technically going to check equal value. If you use triple equal, it will check for equal value and equal data type. Triple equal, it will check for equal value and equal data type. If you use exclamation mark equal, then it is technically considered as not equal value. If you use exclamation mark with double equal, then it is technically going to check not for equal value and not an equal data type. So these are JavaScript comparison operators. We're going to use these different things in different situations when we apply validations. And not only that, JavaScript regular expressions you should know. JavaScript contains regular expression fundamentals, so that you should know. Let me write those things here. So if I use, for example, n plus, then it matches any string that contains one or many n's. N plus, the meaning is matches any string that contains one or many n's. And if I use n star, then it matches for any string that contains 0 or many n's. If I use n question mark here, then it matches any string that contains 0 or 1 n. So technically this plus indicates one or many. Star indicates 0 or many. This question mark indicates 0 or 1. So these are quantifiers, plus, star, question mark. These are technically quantifiers here. So n plus, that means it matches any string that contains one or many n's. If I use n plus, then it will go for one or many n's. One or many. Technically, that is plus here in terms of quantifier. If I use star, it matches for any string that contains 0 or many n's. So n question mark. So it matches any string that contains 0 or 1, n. So plus is technically 1 or many, star is technically 0 or many, question mark is technically 0 or 1. It's like cardinality. So in regular expressions, we call it as quantifiers. These are technically quantifiers. Okay, not only that, if I use, for example, in regular expression, if I use slash d lowercase, then it finds a digit in this case. Slash d, then it finds for a digit. D is lowercase here. If I use slash d uppercase, then it finds a non-digit character here. Non-digit character. Slash small d, that is, it finds for a digit. Slash uppercase d, it finds for a non-digit character. And if I use slash s as smaller case here, then it finds a white space character here. Slash s, then it finds for a white space character. If I use slash s uppercase, s is uppercase here, then it finds a non-white space character here. Slash s is uppercase, it finds for non-white space character. And if I use, for example, slash 0, then it finds a null character here. In terms of regular expression. If I use dot, if I use just dot, then technically it finds a single character. Dot technically means it finds a single character in regular expressions. And if I use, for example, brackets, in brackets, if I use, for example, x straight line y, x straight line y, then that means technically it allows x or y. If I use like this, then technically it allows x or y. That's the meaning. If I use, for example, square brackets, a to z, a uppercase, z uppercase. So if I use square brackets with a to z, a hyphen z, that means technically it allows only one uppercase character or uppercase letter between a to z. A to z in square brackets. That means it allows only one uppercase letter between a to z. And if I use, for example, square brackets with a to z lowercase, it allows only one lowercase letter between a to z. And here, if I use let me make it like this. It allows uppercase letter between a to z. If I use like this, it allows lowercase letter between a to z. And we can also use like this regular expression with square brackets. In square brackets, you can use A to Z uppercase, A to Z lowercase. In square brackets, I'm using A to Z uppercase, A to Z lowercase. That means it allows uppercase letter between A to Z, and not only that, it allows lowercase letter A to Z. So the meaning of this one, square brackets, A to Z uppercase, A to Z lowercase. That means it allows uppercase letter between A to Z. It also allows lowercase letter between A to Z. And not only that, we can use square brackets with, for example, 0-9. That means 0 to 9. 0-9. So this is technically, it allows digits, or I can say numbers between 0 to 9. Allows digits, or I can say number between 0 to 9. Now you can also use like this. Square brackets, A to Z uppercase, A to Z lowercase, and 0 to 9. A to Z uppercase, A to Z lowercase, 0 to 9. Everything in square brackets. Then it allows uppercase letter A to Z, it allows lowercase letter A to Z, it allows digits between 0 to 9. So this allows uppercase letter A to Z and allows lowercase letter A to Z and also allows digits 0 to 9. Also allows digits 0 to 9. Similarly, if I use square brackets and if I mention some special characters, for example, exclamation mark, @ hashtag, dollar, percentage, something like this, ampersand, star. So that means technically it allows special characters. It allows only special characters. If I use square brackets, within square brackets, I've provided some special characters here. That means the meaning of this one is it allows only special characters among these things which are mentioned here. So it allows only special characters, that is exclamation mark, @ hashtag, dollar, percentage, star, something like that, which are mentioned in this square brackets. And not only that, if I use square brackets with ABC, for example, then it finds any character mentioned in square brackets. If I use square brackets with ABC, then it finds any character which is mentioned in between square brackets. And if I use square brackets, then with up arrow ABC, Within square brackets, I've used up arrow, then ABC. It finds any character which is not mentioned in square brackets. So it finds any character is not mentioned in square brackets. Finds any character not mentioned in square brackets. If I use up arrow ABC within square brackets. And if I use, for example, square brackets, up arrow, then 0 to 9, for example. Up arrow 0 to 9 within square bracket, then it finds any non-digit here. Finds any non-digit character. And if I use, for example, normal brackets, that means this brackets, within brackets, if I use, for example, question mark, equal, dot, something like this, with star. In brackets, we can use question mark, equal, dot, star. In this case, this is technically considered as at least. If you want to use at least, for example, at least one digit, at least one special character, at least one lowercase character, then in that case, at least means this one in regular expressions. Brackets, within brackets, use question mark, equal, dot, star. Then technically it is considered as at least. Just remember this. So these are some of the things that you need to notice before we apply validations. These are common things for both UI5 and Fiori apps. Regular expressions, comparison operators, logical operators, all these things are very essential to apply validations. And not only that, let me write a note, to compare a value with regular expression. To compare any value with a regular expression, we need to use match method. In order to compare a value with regular expression, we need to use match method. So match method is a JavaScript method. JavaScript method. Match method is a JavaScript method. What it will do, it will just compare a given value with a regular expression. Okay, let me write it like this. Match method will compare value with a regular expression. Match method will compare a value with regular expression. When you compare a value, sometimes match can be found or sometimes match cannot be found. If match is found, then match method returns true. If match is found, then match method returns true. If match is not found, then match method returns false. Match method will compare any given value with a regular expression. If match is found, then match method returns true. If match is not found, match method returns false. Just remember this. When you are applying validation through regular expression, then match method is the suitable method to compare any value with regular expression. Similarly, there is one more method. Let me write it here. Is NaN of some number. Is NaN. NaN. That means technically it's a JavaScript method. Also a JavaScript method. So what it will do? So it returns true if the value is not a number. NaN means not a number. NaN, that means not a number. So this method returns true. It returns true if the value is not a number. NaN means not a number. So is NaN is a method that returns true if the given value is not a number. And it returns false. Returns false if the given value is a number. Just remember that. Is NaN is a JavaScript method. It returns false if the value is a number. It returns true if the value is not a number. And not only that, you need to remember that in JavaScript, date is a predefined object. In JavaScript, date is technically a predefined object. So if you want to compare dates, you have to use date.parse method. Date.parse you have to use with some date value. So date.parse is a method. So if I use date.parse of date value, so this parse method is used to compare the dates. Is used while comparing the dates. Or date values, whatever. You can't directly use date value, one date value with another date value. You can't compare directly. You have to use date.parse of that date value. Date.parse method of some date value. Then you can compare the date values properly. Otherwise, it will be incorrect. You can't directly use like start date greater than end date. It won't work like this. Start date greater than end date. You can't use a comparison operator directly like this. What you need to do is you have to use date.parse of start date.parse of end date greater than date.parse of start date. So this is how you need to compare. Date.parse of end date greater than date.parse of start date. So the parse method is required while comparing the dates. That's a basic point you need to remember. To compare any two dates, you have to use parse method. Otherwise, comparison becomes illogical. That you're going to experience in the next session. And if you want more information on JavaScript regular expressions, when you find free time, then you can also refer this. More information on JavaScript regular expressions, you can visit this below website. Let me show that. You can directly go to this link to understand various types of regular expressions. Most of these things we have already included in our note file, but if you want, you can also go through this. So here in this one, you can find various options like quantifiers, object properties, etc. Most of the things I've already included, but if anything is missing, you can also search it here. Copy this. Okay, so how exactly we are going to proceed? Let me just give some overview before we proceed in the next session. So what I want to do is I want to create live change event for each and every input field. I want to use image screen element. I want to use text screen element. Okay, first we'll try to add one end date field in object view. So there is password field. After password field, let me use start date, end date field, date picker. Let me remove this date picker here. And I want to add date picker here after password field. This is date picker. Let me make this as start date. Let me take another date field here. That is for end date. This is like date picker 2. Let me make this as date picker 2. So now let me run this screen. Okay, so here, let me use this as well. Class style, property, class 2. It's not mandatory, but anyhow. So here you can see these are the fields available at this point of time for accepting inputs. What I want to do is for these things, first name field, last name field, email ID, country, salary, mobile number, password field, start date, end date. So for all these things, I want to use something like live change event and image screen element beside that and text screen element beside image. So that means what I'm expecting is for all these input fields, so here I want to use live change event for each input field to make that validation dynamic. To make validation dynamic, I want to use live change event on each input field. But here, for start date, end date, you need to use change event. Change event you need to use on end date. There is no live change event for date field. There is no live change event for date field. So you have to use change event on end date field here. So for each of these things, we have to use event. For most of the input fields, we are using live change event. Only for end date field, we are using change event. For date picker, there is no live change event. You have to use change event. For input fields, you can use live change event. And not only that, I want to use something like image screen element here to display green color if the validation is perfect. I want to display red color if the validation is wrong. So here I want to use image screen element. For example, image can be green if the value is okay. Image will be red if the value is not okay. So I want to use an image indicator with green or red for applying validation to display the message. Along with message, I want to display some image which indicates something like green or red, depending upon validation is true or false. So this image indicator we are using here in order to display image, green color image if the validation is okay, if the value is okay. Image will be red if the validation is not okay, if the value is not proper according to the validation. And not only image indicator, I want to use a text screen element to display some message. I want to use text screen element to display some message. It can be success message or error message. It all depends. I want to use text screen element to display success or error text. For each of these things, I want to use text screen element to display either text with success or error. It means it can be success text or it can be error text, depending upon the validation is true or false. So here we have to use text screen element. So event should be used on screen element, and beside each screen element, you have to use image along with text screen element. So all these things we have to use to make it more dynamic, to apply validation on each field. Then this is one of the technique you can follow. Okay, so let me save this. This is like okay, so here, if I use date picker, on date picker, there is no live change event. You have to use change event. Yet you can see on date picker, there is no live change event. You have to use always a change event. Please notice that. But in case of input fields, if you take any input field contains change event, input field also contains live change event. Input field contains change event as well as live change event. Live change event is more dynamic here. You can see this live change. That's more dynamic. As soon as you enter something, it can apply a validation. It can trigger event handler if you use live change event. Okay, so just remember this. Date picker field, we can use change event. input field, we can use life change event. Of course, life change event is more dynamic. As soon as you type something, immediately the event handler gets executed. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll stop here. It takes a lot of time, so we'll try to extend this tomorrow. It's at least 1.5 hours from here onward. So we'll start tomorrow. Just go through all these theoretical points which I've written here. Just try to understand what is what. Then we can start the practical part tomorrow.